In examples 6 and 7, we are going to look at the formula A equals P times 1 plus R times T. Okay, so these are both going to be simple interest problems. We're going to discuss why, and then we're going to talk about why this particular formula is preferable to I equals P times R times T. Let's take a look at example 6. A loan of $10,000 was repaid at the end of 6 months. What amount, principal and interest, was repaid if a 6.5% annual rate of interest was charged? Okay. All right. First things first. Why is this a simple interest problem? Okay. When you read the problem, you do not see the phrase simple interest. Okay, there's no such thing. Okay, you don't see any reference to simple interest. Okay, but if you go through it again, you do not see the word compounded. Okay, so that is what makes it a simple interest problem because we do not see the word compounded. Okay, now because it's a simple interest problem, that means you're either going to use I equals P times R times T, or you're going to use A equals P times 1 plus R times T. Okay, I tell you which of the two formulas to use, but let's talk about why we are going to use A equals P times 1 plus RT and not the I equals P times R times T formula. Okay, so go ahead and reread it if you need to. Okay, remember, you use this particular formula if it's talking about the total amount due on the loan. Okay, so when you read through it, you know you make a loan of $10,000. Okay, you borrow the money for 6 months and then you pay it back. Okay, the question, like I said, look at the last sentence. Okay, that's typically where you're going to find what you're looking for. Okay, so the question is what amount principal and interest was repaid? Okay, you're trying to figure out how much you're paying back. Okay, and you always pay back the principal, the amount you borrowed, plus the interest. Okay, so you're looking for the total amount due on the loan. Okay, so you're actually looking for your A value. Okay, so that's why you want to use this formula and not I equals P times R times T, because this formula involves just interest. Okay, you have information about A, not I. Okay, so that's why we're going with the particular formula that we're going with. Okay, all right, since we are looking for A, that means we should know the value of P, the value of R, and the value of T. So let's figure those out. All right, so P is the principal, the amount of the loan. Okay, you borrowed $10,000. Okay, so that's your P. Your R value is going to be take your 6.5% and convert it to a decimal. Okay, so that's going to be 0.065. And then you borrow the money for 6 months. Okay, remember, you don't want to put T equals 6 because that would be 6 years. You've got to divide by 12 to have 6 months. Okay, let's go ahead and plug everything in. So we're solving for A. Okay, P is 10,000. You've got to multiply. Make sure you use your parentheses. 1 plus R times T. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could have converted 6 over 12 to 0.5. Okay, that would work just fine. All right, so now we're going to enter this into the calculator exactly like we see it, and that's going to give us the total amount due. Okay, before we do that, okay, let's think ahead. Okay, remember, you are borrowing $10,000 for 6 months. Okay, and you're trying to figure out the total amount that you're paying back. Okay, you should expect a number bigger than $10,000 because it's going to be the amount borrowed plus the interest. Okay, so let's type this into the calculator. Okay, so here we go. Pull up the calculator. Let me go ahead and clear out what we had in there before. Okay, you type it in just like you see it and be careful with your parentheses. So we're going to have 10,000, okay, times, open your parentheses, 1 plus the R value. Okay, I'm going to multiply by, I'm going to go ahead and open my parentheses. You don't need parentheses here, but if it makes you feel better, go ahead and do that. If you ever doubt parentheses, it's better to use them than not to use them. Let's see, our time value was 6 over 12. You could have also, like I said, used 0.5. Okay, make sure you close parentheses. You need each pair of parentheses to have a beginning and an end. okay? All right, so there we go. That's how you would enter it in. So hit enter on your calculator, okay? And that's going to give you a nice clean number, okay? You're looking for the total amount of money repaid. So this is going to be a dollar amount, okay? So it's going to be $10,325, okay? So that is the amount that you pay back, okay? And you don't have any cents, okay? So that is your answer, okay? If you wanted to go one step further with this, okay, the question doesn't ask you, but think about it, okay? The total interest that you pay on this loan, okay, take the total amount that you paid back and subtract the amount you borrowed, okay? So $325 of this was interest, okay? You could have come up with the same number, the 325, by doing I equals P times R times T, okay? All right, so that is example 6. Let's take a look at example 7. Okay, we're going to be using the same formula here. Okay, a check for $3,097.50 was used to retire a 5-month $3,000 loan. What annual rate of interest was charged? Okay, make sure you reread it and understand what's going on, okay, before continuing the video. All right, when we scan through this problem, you do not see the phrase simple interest, okay, but you also do not see the word compounded. That makes it a simple interest problem, okay? So again, since it's simple interest, you have to pick between I equals P times R times T and A equals P times 1 plus R times T, okay? So let's go ahead and read through this to try to figure out what we're looking for. You know that you make a $3,000 loan. Okay, so I'm going to start listing variables. Okay, the amount of money you borrow is $3,000. Okay, the money is borrowed for 5 months. Okay, so T is not 5 because that would be 5 years. You've got to divide it by 12, so 5 months. Okay, you are, if you look at the question, the last sentence here, what annual rate of interest was charged? Okay, so you're actually looking for the interest rate. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Okay, and then we've got this other number, $3,097.50. The question is that I or is that A? Okay, so it says that you write a check for $3,097.50. That's used to retire the loan. Okay, so that fancy word retire, what does that mean? Okay, retire is another word for repay. Okay, so you use this check of $3,097.50 to repay the loan. Okay, so that's the total amount that you paid back on this $3,000 loan. Okay, so that's actually your A value. Okay, but that because that's the total amount you paid back, this is going to be the interest plus the principal here. Okay, another clue that this is the A value and not the I value is that this number is bigger than the 3,000. Okay, you wouldn't expect the interest to be bigger than 3,000. Okay, but the total amount due would be bigger than 3,000. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to use A equals P times 1 plus RT because we know information about the total amount that we're paying back, the A value, which is right here. Okay. Let's go ahead and plug everything in. Okay. So we've got $3,097.50. That's our A value. Okay. P is 3,000. Okay. And then we've got 1 plus R. We don't know R, so we're just leaving it as R. And then T is 5 over 12. Okay. This is a reminder to leave 5 over 12 as 5 over 12. If you go to your calculator, 5 over 12 is one of those decimals that keeps going. Okay. So if you did convert the 5 over 12 to a decimal, you would need to carry this entire decimal expansion. Okay. You're better off just using the 5 over 12 here. Okay. All right, so let's try to solve for this. So we've got it set up, okay? You want to solve for R, and the problem with the R is that it is inside the parentheses here, okay? So there's a couple of ways you can approach this because you need to get the R by itself, okay? So if you notice the 3,000 is multiplied by everything in parentheses, okay, so I'm going to start off, I'm going to leave the left side alone here, and I'm actually going to start off by distributing, okay? I'm going to do 3,000 times 1, okay? That's going to give me 3,000, okay, plus, oops, let me erase that, make it look a little better. You're going to get 3,000 plus, and then I'm going to distribute the 3,000 to this piece. Okay, so we're going to get 3,000 times, and remember, when you multiply, you can multiply in any order. Okay, so we're going to get 3,000 times 5 over 12 times r. Okay, now I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to figure out, remember your order of operations. Okay, you do parentheses, then exponents, and then you do multiplication and division together from left to right, and then you do addition and subtraction from left to right. Okay, so you do multiplication before you do addition. So I'm going to go and calculate what I'm multiplying r by. Okay, so I'm going to do 3,000 times 5 over 12. Okay, so we're going to get 3,000 times 5 over 12. Okay, and I'm going to get a nice even number, so 1,250. Okay, so let me just rewrite this. Like I said, it's better to just keep writing your work over and over again. You're less likely to make a mistake. Okay, so this is going to be 3,000 plus 1,250 times r. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Okay, we need to get the r by itself because that's what we're solving for. Okay, we need to isolate this guy. Okay, we need to isolate this guy because it contains the r. Okay, so we're going to move the 3,000 to the other side. Okay, since we're adding 3,000, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to subtract 3,000. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay, so if you subtract these two, you're going to get $97.50 is equal to 1,250 times r. Okay, and now to get r by itself, you're going to, instead of multiply by 1,250, you're going to divide by it. Okay, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Okay, and then these guys will cancel and leave you with r. Okay, so now we just need to go to our calculator and punch in this r value. So we're going to do 97.5 divided by 1250. Okay, so we're going to do 97.5 divided by 1,250. Okay, and there you go. Okay, notice this comes out as a decimal. Okay, you get 0.078. Okay, you are solving for the interest rate, so this makes sense. Remember, working in the formula, the interest rate is a decimal. Okay, but as an answer, and it even said this in the directions, you need to express this as a percent. Okay, so we're done. I'm going to go over here and write the answer. The interest rate as a decimal is 0.078. Okay, but if I take my decimal point and move it 2 places to the right and tack on a percent sign, okay, the interest rate is 7.8%. Okay, so that is your answer. Okay, so basically, if you borrow $3,000 for 5 months at a 7.8% simple interest rate, then you end up repaying a total of $3,097.50. Okay, now we're going to look at examples 8, 9, and 10. Okay, they will still be simple interest problems, but you will not be told which of the two simple interest formulas to use. You have to determine that.